Today we're going to be making celery juice. If you haven't had celery juice, you should really try it. It's delicious. It may not sound delicious, but it really is, and it's good for you, very healthy, cleans out your system. You feel great after you have it. So what you need to make celery juice, depending how big of a quantity you want to make, I usually like to make about a week's worth, 6 to 8 bottles for me at a time. So I buy 4 organic celery hearts like this. And then what you'll need is a sink filled with cold water. And I always sanitize my sink before I use it, just with people washing their hands, or maybe I made chicken in it. So always remember to sanitize your sink. You don't want to miss that step. And then also what you're going to need is a juicer. I have this BREVILLE juicer, which is fairly inexpensive and it works very good. Then you're going to need these bottles. Now, these bottles are actually bottles when I went to a juicery and I bought celery juice and I kept the bottles. So I have some of these, but you can buy them offline if you want to you can get about 6 for $20. And then I also, this is probably not going to be enough, so I have the old Good Seasonings carafe I use. I also have a mason jar. So whatever you have on hand that you can use, even a pitcher. But it's nice to put them in the individual jars because then you have pulp. And if you individually make your jars, you can have an even amount of little pulp in each one, where if you have a pitcher, it all kind of settles and you don't get much in some of your glasses. So first of all, you want to prepare your celery. So first you get them all out of the bag, and then I like to cut these ends off. I think they're kind of yucky, but you could just throw all this in the water, and you can throw all of this into the juicer if you like, but I like to clean them up a little. So I get out my cutting board and my knife, and I cut all the ends off. So there, I've cut all the ends off, and you don't need to cut very much off. I just cut a very small amount off because, believe it or not, all of these have juice in them too. So if you take too wide of a margin off your celery, you're going to get less juice. Now you want to throw all of your celery into your cold water that you have in your sink, and you want to soak them. Now soaking them gets any little bits of dirt and grit and sand that might have grown into the celery before they were harvested, or while they were harvesting they could have gotten dirty too. So just give them a good little rinse like this. And then I put paper towel on my counter. Then I put them on the paper towel just for a few minutes and move them around a little to get not all the water, but some of the water off, so they're not dripping mess when you're putting them into the juicer. Now it's November right now, so one thing I like to do is take the ones with the leaves on them and set them aside and cut some of the leaves off for soup. I like to make a lot of soup, especially this time of year when the weather's getting colder. I've cut off my celery tops and put them in a bag for later, and then I put the stalks back with the rest of the celery. And you'll see I still have some pieces with leaves on them, which is fine. You can totally put the leaves, stalks, even the stems into the juicer. Now let's get the juicer going. This one has 2 settings, low and high. I think I get more juice out of it when I do it on high, so we're going to do it on high today. Look at that. Doesn't that look great? Okay, so it's getting kind of full, so I'll go ahead and stop for the moment. And I still have a lot of celery left and all of this really good juice. So I'm going to start filling my jars now. Okay, so all the celery's gone, and I have my jars here ready to refrigerate. And one thing I want to show you is when you open this up, you have a lot of pulp usually left over. You don't have to throw this out. You can actually make recipes out of this. Look how much pulp there is. So here's all the pulp. So I always put it aside and save it. So what I plan on doing with my celery pulp is I'm going to make this recipe. It's kicked up meatloaf with juicer vegetable pulp. And it sounds really delicious and it looks pretty easy to make. But like I said, you can make all kinds of other things with it too. Just go online and there's plenty of recipes. So another thing too is easy cleanup. You take this out, you take this out, you put it in the dishwasher and wipe your counters and you're pretty much done. So juicing is very easy to do. It's very healthy for you. No reason to be afraid to do it. And if you haven't done it, I encourage you to get started right away. That's it for today. Enjoy.